This Audio is Visual is a podcast aimed at engaging photographers about their work and journeys. It's for photographers, by photographers. And yeah, man, today we have on the hot seat Obakeng Molepe. Did I say it right? The surname?
Yeah, Obakeng Molepe.
Cool. It feels like in your space, dude, it feels like an experience. Everything in here is an experience. When I touched the glass to drink the water, I was like, what? Everything of yours in this space is intentional, man, and I guess like that.
To be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So even like before asking, like, who are you, introduction-wise, I already have a sense of who you are just by gauging the space and stuff. And for someone watching who's seeing you for the first time, or maybe coming across the name for the first time, could you maybe introduce yourself?
My name is Obakeng Molepe. I'm a photographer, basically. I specialize in documentary and commercial photography. Yeah, I think that's the shortest and cleanest way to introduce myself.
So when I was doing my research, Obakeng, I came across like I think it was your bio somewhere. It said there was a line that said, "I'm an idealist who is driven by my depression." Do you mind elaborating on that?
I think back then, what that meant. I mean, for this time and space in my life right now, it doesn't mean the same thing. But back then, what it meant, it basically, like most of my ideas at the time were driven by these feelings, right? And the best way for me to be able to articulate those feelings at the time was to actually create visual work out of it. It was difficult already to describe depression, and the feeling of it is already difficult. So the best way for me to be able to make people understand what the feeling is and what it feels like to deal with depression was to actually create work based on these feelings, right? So all these ideas that I had multiple projects based on like just depression, right? And they all tackle different topics and levels of what it means to deal or go through with this journey, or go through the journey of depression. So at that time, that's basically what it meant. But I think right now it means something different because of, also I don't think I'm in that, I'm not in that space anymore. I think while back then, I used to create from a space of survival and, space where you like, if I can survive the next day and just keep going and keep winning, now you create from a space of love, man. You're no longer fighting to survive. So the idea is sort of evolved, yeah.
Like that makes me think about like the work that we do as creatives now. A lot of the times it's in isolation, but also like our work is so entwined in who we are as people and how we function. Yeah. So if Obakeng is not fine, then like Obakeng can't be a photographer and shoot on a commercial space. So I'm wondering then like how do you transition like from like creating from survival mode to establishing a space where now you can create from love?
I honestly don't think that you actually do it intentionally. I think you grow, and then like at some point you achieve some of the goals that you, at least for me, let me speak for me, okay. It felt like for a long time, it was like, hey, I want to achieve these goals. I want to get signed. I want to do this, work with this brand, and then you do it, and then you do it, and then you do it. And once, at some point, you get to, I guess, a point where you are now comfortable, right? And you're floating, and you're like, okay, now I gotta create, not because of I'm fighting to survive, right? You have a beautiful home, you have a good relationship with your family. There's a whole lot of things that have happened. So, for example, therapy, right? Therapy being a part of it, right? You sort of start going through that. You don't see therapy doing its work, and it does its work. And before you know it, you've achieved everything that you want to achieve outside of yourself, and have achieved everything that you want to achieve inside of yourself. So now you're sitting in this comfortable zone where you're like, okay, what's next? Right? I don't think it's an intentional thing that you do. You just move forward, and at some point, you're like, hey, I just want to, I don't know, design a lamp, because that's what I want to do right now. I want to design lamps. I don't think I'm that crazy about photography right now, but I still do it because it's my first love. But I want to create lamps. I don't know. I want to design a chair, man. Like that's love, you know. Right now, that's what love means. That's what it means to create out of love for me. It's just doing things that I just want to do. Yeah.
And I like that because like a lot of the times like people box themselves like to one thing that they have established themselves for, and then you sort of get stuck in that, oh, I just need to be a photographer. But I like the fact that now you're looking at ways that you can express this love differently in amongst the things that you do love. You mentioned that photography is your first love. I'm wondering, like, what was your first interaction with it? Did you always know that you wanted to do photography?
No way. Actually, I wanted to be a director.
Photographers are becoming directors more and more.
Yeah, I wanted to be a director and then do theater. I was going to do theater and directing at AFDA. And then I got a scholarship through Umuzi to study at Vega. I don't know if you know Umuzi. It's this lovely organization, yeah. And yeah, I think, I remember at the time my mentor was like to me, hey, it's not a mistake that you're not a director, you're doing photography right now. It's like, if you can learn how to master a single frame and how to frame a single frame, you can learn, it becomes easier to frame like 30 frames per second, which is video, right? And so I fell into that, path where I'm like now doing photography, and I fell in love with it. But also like for a long time, I remember Lesedi and I used to have this 1100D camera. There's an old friend. I don't know if you know Lesedi Mutwachai. He's a photographer. Yeah. So he used to have this 1100D Canon, and that his mom got for him, and that camera like carried us. I think that's one of the spaces that allowed me to explore this idea of photography in the first place. And then I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna become a director. And then the universe was like, nah, you're gonna stick here into photography. And I just stayed with it. But I didn't foresee that it would become something this great, or something that has helped me heal this much, something that has, like what photography has done for me is beyond explanation, and unintentionally so. So to answer your question, no, it wasn't intentional at all. It's like, this thing chose me, man.
So, Obakeng, I'm interested to know, like, of the projects that you've done, like in the position of being a director, how does one transition from being a photographer to now dabbling in directing, and you're doing it for client work, you're not just like trying it out?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this is something that's still new for me. I'm not like established in it, but it is quite. I don't know. I think naturally, especially with our movement nowadays, like the kind of generation that we're in, like naturally you do photography, like you get like assistants who move from being assistants to photography, and then from photography they are directors, and kids nowadays are like multi-talented. They're not doing one thing. So back then maybe it was quite a transition to move from being a photographer to a director, but nowadays like, yeah, nowadays these kids like do everything. It's amazing to see it. Like, I was talking to someone about it, one of the guys who do this, and I was like, I like how they collaborate on projects, and how one person is a stylist at one moment, and the next minute they're a producer, and the next minute they're taking the pictures, they're assisting, and then they're directing the film. It's amazing. So I can't speak on what it takes to actually a direct pipeline to what it takes to move from being a photographer to director, but I can say that I think for now in our generation in time, it's such a natural flow. It's something that everyone is doing, and you can also, if you decide to be like, yeah, I'm going to be a director, you sort of like slowly move into it. Yeah.
really like kids of now, dude. Like they doing
They're
crazy
amazing.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, these kids are
they're
amazing.
building portfolios so young, dog. Like it's crazy. So you grew up in a Christian home, right? And tell me what that was like, napping in that environment while also being someone who constantly questioned things, because we know that like in our homes, if you ask too many questions, sometimes you become the kid that's told shut up or you push towards the back. Was it like encouraged or was it difficult? What was
Without a doubt, I mean, I grew up in a black family, a black Christian family. There's no encouraging the confidence to just speak freely. Um, it was tricky. It was tricky, but I think I held my own just long enough for me to leave home, right? But I did question a lot of the ways that my family have done things, whether it's religiously or spiritually, for a long time. And even myself, I've done like a project called Tumelo, and that was exploring sort of the complexities of dealing with religion as a concept in society. Like, there's so many things that play a role, and what religion means to different people, what people are willing to do for a God they don't even know exists, right? Simple things like that. And I'm not questioning my God. I hope God knows that. But like, for me, those questions have always been a thing that I guess that curiosity it's always been a thing that has propelled me to create projects like this. At home, I couldn't question, I couldn't, I'm a black child, I couldn't, what do you call it, argue with my mom about going to church on a Sunday. And I held it in for a long time. But as soon as I was, what do you call it, as soon as I was out of home, I was on fire. The first thing I remember, one of the first projects that I actually tackled was religion. I was like, yeah, because there was so many complexities, man. Like you grow up as a child and you're told that, okay, there's a God and you're gonna go to hell. It's like, okay, but what did I do to go to hell? It's like, yeah, but he died for us. And you're like, okay, cool, you know. And I think that was one of the first topics I actually tackled when I left home, because obviously I was going to do that while I was living with my mom. She would throw a chair. I love you,
do they
Mom.
know of that work?
Um, yes, they've seen it. I mean, it's quite a work. It's been featured on Vogue. It's been shortlisted for awards. So I think they couldn't avoid it. I mean, if they wanted to.
You made it a thing.
I made it a thing.
You made it a thing.
But yeah, it was tricky growing up in a Christian family and not being able to say anything. But it allowed me to be able to build up a solid story, to observe enough in my household to see how Christianity has affected my family in a good and a bad way. And as soon as I was able to explore that idea, I feel like I explored it with a well-rounded mind. It was a well-rounded idea that has been building up for a long time. It wasn't just like, who's God? It was actually a well-thought-of concept. Yeah, gradually.
You mentioned earlier on, you spoke about like a mentorship and you also mentioned umuzi. What do you think spaces like that, like, or rather for Wena, how have they contributed towards your career, and also like what does mentorship do for you in your quest for self-development?
I think it's amazing. I think it's quite a. I think I think a mentor is better than most of these things. Personally, for me, like I feel like having a mentor helped me a lot. Like, because it's one thing to be taught in school to do something. It's another thing to be thrown into an industry to experience it, right? Like you need to figure out how to put together a tripod, right? And it's another thing to have someone who tells you both their experiences of, I guess, theory and what they learned and their experiences, right? Um, I think for me, yeah, I don't think I'd be where I am, even as a director or as a DOP or someone who shoots video. My style is literally from Dirk, like it's from my mentor. Like I'm a run and gun guy. I have like a black magic camera and like, because I literally take from him, right? But when you come from school and then you have to go into this industry, you have to learn things by yourself. What kind of camera do you like? What kind of director are you? So when you have a mentor, or when you have these organizations that have mentors to help you guys, it's very helpful because it feels like it narrows down the heavy path of trying to look around, right? Like you can, and obviously you will at some point look around for things for yourself, but I genuinely feel like having a mentor is, yeah, it's, yeah. I choose that over a whole lot of things, including school, because you embody not only the theory of this person, but their experiences, and you take that and create your own, mixture of all of these things. So yeah, I think the mentor stuff is quite important. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Nah, you did. And then in Vega, like, what did you study there?
So through Muzi, I studied photography, like a photography course for a year, which is really lovely. But I mean, I saw the question and I was actually thinking, I think Umuzi is like the person, the company or organization that should be, a conversation in this. Because I mean, the kind of help, once again, as we were talking about mentees and mentors, the kind of help they gave me and a lot of kids that they still help out is insane. And we were the first class with Umuzi, actually. We were the Power 50 first class, and they collaborated with Vega, so we were able to study to Vega, right? So that's what I'm saying to you. While I did study at Vega, Umuzi, yeah, it goes back to Umuzi, and it was quite effective because Umuzi didn't just, we didn't just study photography. We studied other, I guess, platforms of what it means to be a creative. And also, I remember at some point we did a mentorship at Ogilvy. Some of the students, all of the students were actually placed into different agencies, creative agencies. So I mean, something that powerful, the work, like I said, the work experience to actually be in it, right? Yeah, it was a lovely experience, and shout out to that organization.
So I'm guessing then this is maybe around the time, I don't know if, okay, let me just ask the question and then you answer me. Did you transition while you were with Umuzi, Vega, and having all of these experiences? Would you say you were transitioning from documentary to commercial photography?
Ah, yeah, that's a good question. Ah, man. To some extent, yeah. I think to some, but also like I didn't explore the documentary, the commercial stuff until later on, because after that we stayed at Ogilvy for a little bit, and then my mentors at Ogilvy saw my portfolio and they sent it to my current agent, and I think I was like 21, 22, I think at the time. And I started assisting. Yeah, okay. I think to answer your question, I think sorry, give me a second.
So good.
I don't think I fully transitioned to commercial, right? I think I found a way to mix together my documentary work and style and narrative, and see how it translates into commercial work. I mean, I've done this multiple times. Like, for example, I have a project that I worked on. It's called Shabin Queen, right? firstly, as a documentary photographer, I have documentary work that talks about what a Shebeen queen is, right? That's the first documentary aspect of it. And then the reimagination of it, of what it looks, what a Shebeen queen would look like without, I guess, the interference of colonialism, right? So the fashion, the look, I took like a high fashion look on it, right? And then I got hired by Showmax to shoot a project called Shebeen Queen.
What? Were you part of that show?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dog.
So I did the poster, yes, right? So do you see that I've maintained the narrative and the story that I want to tell without actually having to compromise? Yes, there's obviously a little bit of compromise. You're shooting a commercial and someone is paying you. So there will be a little bit of compromise. But I personally, till this day, I mean, there are projects outside, obviously, that I do outside of that have nothing to do with that. But if we having a conversation about the relationship between my documentary work and my commercial work, I still feel like I've maintained the essence of it all.
Nice, man. So which means, yeah, like the agency that you're with, like, is allowing in terms of like how far you can spread yourself in terms of being creative.
No, definitely. I think I never felt the need to morph myself with this agent. I think Aricho has been. I mean, I've been with these people since I was 20 years old.
Yeah, how's that been? Like, how's it working with an agency as a photographer? Like,
I mean, for different, it's different for different agencies with different, I guess, photographers with different, But for me personally, it's really good. Like, I think there's look, for me, most of these things, whether it's agencies, whether it's commercials, as long as I'm not losing who I am, as long as you give me my space to do what I want to do, whenever I want to do it, at my own pace, then it's fine with me. I think you know that when you're with an agency, they're gonna take a cut. I think you know those things, right? You know the T's and C's that come with being with an agent, but for me, it's worth the pay, I guess. Yeah.
you do a lot of commercial work, but I also don't want to ask this question because I feel like we've kind of like chopped it up, and I kind of understand the fact that you didn't leave the one for the other, but they intertwined and you carry them with you.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So let's leave that one. But also, like, take me through your process. Like, you get a client brief. What does the preparation look like? And maybe you could like use the Lucas Khadebe cover as an example, which is like very beautiful, man. Like your cover, you're dope, dude. No one has told you, but enjoyable, dog.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think from the moment I get a brief, I guess the first thing I do is plan out how I want to see it come on. Right? You get a brief, and then after you get a brief, because also when you get a brief from a client, there will always be holes, right? So you need to fill in the holes. It's like, okay, cool. They want a backdrop, but what color do they want? They want, So before anything, I'll sort of start filling up the holes of whatever brief I have, right? And then after filling up the holes, I'm able to sort of take what the brief wants and see how I can involve my ideas into it without losing what the client wants in the first place. Because if you're too radical and you change the idea a bit too much, then they lose you, right? Then it's a problem. But then, so I'll start going through like image referencing, right? I'll start looking for images and sort of see how I can match the brief the closest without losing what the client wants originally. And then I'll start drawing up diagrams of lighting. So different shots. So I'll always ask for looks. You hardly ever get looks, especially for like these things, because like there's a lot of planning and.
Wait, what do you mean by looks? Did you say looks?
Yeah, so like looks, different outfits. Like for example, obviously we're talking about it in the context of the GQ cover. You never hardly get like the looks earlier than expected, right? Or earlier than what you wanted when you want them, right? So you end up in a situation where you're like, hey, the night before you get all the looks, then you plan all the looks, plan the lighting for each look, right? You planning, okay, cool, this is the lens I want to shoot this look with. You sort of start to break down every single thing. And then by then at the same time, you're able to sort of hire the gear that you want because you understand what lighting you're going to use, what lenses you're going to use, what camera you want to use. Yeah, but most of it, I'm very technical, right? I think to narrow it down, I'm very technical. So I end up in situations where I plan heavily. I'm a heavy planner. Like, if you see my iPad, it's just full of like lighting techniques. Yeah, it's like I have different lighting techniques. It's, okay, cool. For this shot, I'm gonna put this light here. And I think that's a very important part of this process for me, lighting. Because, yeah, man, if you have bad lighting, it's tricky to save a picture. So I always plan my lighting properly, your lensing, the kind of camera I want to use. I have multiple cameras for multiple purposes. Am I shooting this on film? If I'm shooting it on film, which kind of film am I shooting on? Which format am I shooting it on? Is it 6x6, 6.7? Like, all of those finer details that will bring the vision to life, right? But that's sort of how once again, it's a lot of planning. It's even hard to put it into like a singular answer because it's like layers and layers. It's the cameras, it's the lenses, it's the type of lighting, the lighting that you want. It's like, yeah.
So, like, once you're done shooting, do you still edit your own stuff or?
Yeah, it depends on the project. It depends on the project. So I can retouch my stuff if I want to, but if the client has their own retoucher, they'll get their own retoucher in. Or if I'm too busy, like for example, you're doing a 5-day job and you need to actually get retouching done on those pictures immediately. You can't sit there and retouch the images every single night, so you need to get someone in so the retoucher will do it. But when it comes to my personal work, yes, I retouch all my personal work. The commercial stuff, we'll send it to a retoucher. Yeah.
Dope, man.
So it just depends.
Suffices. I'd like I mentioned when I opened this conversation, I spoke about how beautiful your space is. So, and you also spoke about like your love for like doing other stuff. Tell me about your love for collecting furniture. Where does that passion come from? And even now, the way you dress, it's almost like a design of sorts. So, where does this love comes from?
I don't know. I don't know. I think there was a point in my life where I met a friend, and this friend, I knew that I was attracted to certain things, and even whether it's art, whether it's furniture, whether it's design, it doesn't matter, right? I knew that I had an eye for a particular set of things. I didn't understand that there's a word for that, and there's taste, right? There's a word like taste, right? I didn't know it. And one day I showed a friend of mine a car that I wanted. I was like, hey, I actually want this car. And a friend of mine looked at me and he's like, oh, that's what it is. You have taste.
Taste make.
Right? And then from there on, whether obviously taste is subjective also, by the way. But after that, I was able to understand and narrow it down and say, oh, that's why I love a chair like this. That's why. Right? So as time went by, I started to actually like explore that idea. I'm like, oh, what does this having taste mean? Like, what does it mean to have a beautiful lamp, a good design? What does it mean to... I took time to study different sort of design movement. I took time to sort of do pottery myself. I took time to design my own lamps myself. I took time, I explored this idea fully. So I think a friend sparked the idea, but it's always been like a written in essence thing. Like it's just there. I don't know. I'm trying to monetize it now, but try monetizing something you've never been able to control. It's quite tricky. It's one thing if it was a skill that I learned in school, but it's not. I see a piece of like a lamp or a rug or whatever, and I see it, and then I choose it, and then I post it. Then everyone wants it. Then I have to sell it and get in a new one. I'm always switching furniture in this house. It's never. I don't think my house has been the same for longer than 3 months.
Yeah, that's
It's
dope.
always like
That's cool that you're able to like make some profit out of it.
yes,
In
no,
a
no,
way.
definitely.
That's cool. So where do you go furniture hunting?
So most of it is right now. Most of it is Facebook Market, and then there's Russell Kaplan auctions. So I use Russell Kaplan's auctions, and then I have is it Long Way. It's in the West Rand, close to Linden. There's this long long way.
Long way.
And it's full of like vintage stores, right? And you sort of build relationships with these people too. You're like, hey, I'm looking for this particular camera, or I'm looking for this particular chair. And one day when they have it, you just receive a picture. So I have like a bunch of people that I work with, and yeah, like so it's like sometimes, but most of it, like I said, most of it is Facebook Market. Like there's a lot of things that you can actually find on Facebook Market now. I don't think people know that. Like you can, my house looks like it's worth millions, but
It looks so cool, dude. I won't lie.
it definitely is not.
Like I would assume that your schedule is busy when it comes to client work. Do you still find time to just do like personal projects, get away from the hustle and bustle? And what's currently inspiring you? And in general, what keeps you motivated as a creative?
I like how you like your schedule is busy. I know, man. Like
you guys are busy.
yeah, like you get busy enough, right? But yeah, I think when you are busy, for sure, it's difficult to sort of balance the what do you call it? The weight between your commercial work and your personal work. But also when you're not busy, you get worried because you need money and you're freelancing, right? So you don't have the luxury to fully, sit back and just work on personal work. You need to find a healthy balance between the two. But typically when I am busy, it's difficult. You need to actually work on the personal work, or else the commercial work starts to take a toll on you, eh? Like everyone knows it. Like there's a point where you discuss the conversation with another, let's say photographer or director, and they'll tell you the same thing. It's like, yo, like I need personal work. Like I just need to practice this thing out of love and passion. And that fuels you up to be able to do the commercial stuff. But that's the funny part, is that you do the commercial stuff, get paid, and then do the personal stuff that fuels you up to feel like you can do the commercial stuff. And so but you can't do one
And not the other,
yeah, without a healthy balance.
Also,
between
like
the two.
the commercial stuff sort of feeds the personal, like funds.
Yes, funds,
in a
exactly.
way,
That's what I'm
so
saying.
you
Is
need
that
to
you
do that
work on the
stuff.
commercials, they pay you, and then after that you're able to do a test shoot. The test shoot inspires you enough and gives you, the energy you need to go back into the field to do the commercial. The commercial pays you, you do the personal. It's just like that, right? Yeah. So you need to find a healthy balance between the two.
Cool, man. Do you think you've like sort of established like some sort of sustainability when it comes to freelancing?
Has anyone done it? If they've done it, please call me.
It looks like some people have figured it out.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it. Stop looking at social media. No. Oh, but yes, to answer your question, I think I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'm winging it like most people. Like I'm winging it, and not because of I hadn't figured out what the business of photography is. But because of work is different right now. Photography is different right now. The creative industry in general is different right now. I was telling a friend of mine, I'm like, right now, work doesn't move through the same pipelines. Right? Back then it was like client and then, what do you call it, advertising agency and then creative management agency, which comes to us, and then the production house, and then the work comes out. But now there's like PR agencies. Work gets split in so many different pipelines, right? So it's hard to sit and say that you've mastered it. There are people who have mastered it, but I can say as it evolves for now, for me, I am comfortable, but I haven't mastered it. I think it's something that I'm learning to understand because it's evolving, like I said.
No, certainly. Like on that point of evolution, like there's like AI as well now. Like in your own processes, like which elements of AI are you prone to? Like, are you interested in AI at all?
I mean, the best thing that AI does for me is like writing tools on my Apple device, I guess. but no. I don't use it when it comes to like photography and visuals. I think that's a tricky conversation, eh? I think it's such a okay. What I'll say is, for me, I think that it's part of the evolution of visual arts. That's it. Like, it had to evolve at some point. We had to move from painting, we had to move to photography paper, we had to move from film, move to digital, you know, it had to. It had to. It's just a part of the evolution. And that doesn't mean that, and I've heard people ask if does this render photography, will this ever render photography as, I guess, now? I was like, yeah, but no. It doesn't. Like, it's cool. Like, the same way people thought that digital, as convenient as digital is cheap. But we still spend money on film. Like, there's something special about film. And it's the same thing. It's going to go back the same way. Whereas, like, AI is beautiful. And I guess it's convenient. I'll tell you what it's useful for a lot of people that I know. It's useful for references. It's quite difficult to Google Black or African lived experiences and get results that, you know, that carry a particular weight. Because we don't have a lot of content out there. Like,
we're fairly new in that.
yeah, we're fairly new. So you like you Google, you're trying to pitch for a job and you like a black happy family, and then you Google black happy family and you look at what black happy family looks like. You're like, this is tricky, right? So with AI, what I've seen is that a lot of people have been able to use it to render those experiences, which I'm not proud of because there's no way we are sitting here thinking that it's okay to render people's experiences, and you know. But I think it's useful for that. Right? Like if you're trying to pitch and then you have an idea of what you're trying to achieve, but you can't find the image references, so you use the AI for it. But outside of that, no, I don't entangle myself within AI. I feel like it's another. I think it's another cool thing. And I'm a geek. I'm a person who loves technology. I'm obsessed with technology. But AI for me hasn't been the thing that I'm like, okay, cool. It's also considering the fact that I'm literally going back to film. I don't think I'm able to do, but I'm already trying to quit digital, go back to film, and now AI is here. I need to move forward. It's fine. Let one of them skip me. Eh? Like
And that will be AI. It seems.
let one of them skip me. It's okay.
So, Obakeng, are we at some point ever going to see like an exhibition or like your work packaged in a book? Like, how are we going to experience your work outside of like seeing them on commercial covers?
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's gonna. I like I said, there's a pile of work that I haven't put out, And I think I'm waiting for the right time, man. Like I operate out of essence and intuition. If the time is right, the time is right. I've done group exhibitions. I think I've built just enough accolades to say, okay, cool, I'm ready for a solo exhibition, I guess. But I think, yeah, just take my time with it. And there's a lot more stories that I feel like I need to tell. Like, there's so many projects that I haven't released, and within those unreleased projects, there's like projects that I'm still trying to tell, which is why right now my documentary work is off my Instagram or everywhere. Like I'm piling up a bunch of projects that I'm trying to tell, and also trying to figure out the direction that I want to go with my documentary work. How do I want to capture these stories? Who I'm trying to capture when it comes to these stories, but also, outside of that, obviously the format, the cameras. I want a consistent language in my work to explore what it means to do storytelling as a photographer. And now I am learning to turn it into my language and what it means to what it means to me. Right? It's no longer a go to the township and shoot documentary. It's with intention. The last project I did was a project called Unbecoming, and it was exploring the I guess traditional processes that different cultures take during like a funeral or the passing of someone, right? Like the one I focused on was the Basotho people, which my stepdad is Sotho. So when there's a funeral, they shave hair. The men shave their hair. So it was like playing around that concept, but even with that concept, it's still small. I need to expand on it. So I'm not in a rush to like exhibit. The more experiences you have, the more you become better as an artist. There's I can't get it wrong.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Like I can't get it wrong.
I feel you. I like that portrait of yours, the one of is it Warren Masemola, the actor?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw when I was like researching. There's an interview with you and Uno Deval, 10 and 5.
Yes, between
And
10 and 5.
and so one of the image that you
Yes,
showed
sure.
was that. Like
Is
I really
Warren
like that. It's
Masemola,
like a very, I love it.
Damn, that was a long time. What was that? COVID. Yes, it was during COVID.
Oh, it was during COVID. Oh.
Yes, because it was the video, right? Where I was clicking through my computer. Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And then we've done that. And then from a business perspective, like, is there any advice that you would give to someone wanting to break into commercial photography?
Assist. I think there are other ways. Like I know photographers who've managed to do commercial photography, to get into commercial photography without assisting. But I think there are benefits to assisting. If you want to, I guess, work in the commercial industry, obviously there are commercial agencies and creative management agencies. So then you can just literally send them your portfolio and ask to be an assistant. I know I make it sound simple. It's not that simple. You're not going to get accepted instantly. But I think that's typically the best process. It's like you'll send your portfolio and then we'll have a look at it, and then we have a bunch of photographers that you can assist, and then they'll fit you in if the photographer is obviously happy to have you also, and they can actually work with you. But yes, if you want to break in, I would say that is the most simplest way to.
Cool, man. Do you guys want to ask anything else before I ask the last question? Yeah, I'm left with one question, but I'm opening up to you guys. Because we're here together. Let me not hog the man.
I had one earlier and then I forgot.
Okay.
So outside of like photography and work, what do you do and how do you keep yourself like alive and happy?
Man, that is a beautiful question. What?
This man is deep.
This man is deep. You came for the You're like, yeah, I want to know your soul. um, I think what keeps me happy is sort of like my space. I think the space is quite important to me. I think seeing my friends, hanging out with my friends, but I feel like those are like standard community and like, you know. But I think if I were to give you a singular answer, I think my space. Like, I love my space. Like, I just cook in here, guys. Like, there's no, yeah, like I just sit in here. There's no, and I think with that, it keeps my soul alive because of, remember, my space, for me, at least is how I describe it. My space is sort of a projection of what my mind looks like in my head. So when I'm sitting here, it's literally a meditation. It's literally sitting with myself and feeding my soul, right? It's quite a meditative, it's not just a house or a home. It's literally where I get to explore parts of my mind. If my plants are not looking good, it means that I'm not taking care of myself. That's one of the key points. When my plants are thriving, then it means that I'm taking care of myself. If the place is a bit dusty, it means that I'm probably anxious as hell. So there's things that I'm not actually confronting. And, you know, it's starting to build up a little bit of this. But I hope it answers your question. If you're asking me what feeds my soul, is being in my space by myself. And yes, I do have community. I have friends. I have family. But being here, I built that space for that, to be a Havana for me to breathe, to evolve, to grow, to meditate and pray, and yeah. Cool. You good? Cool.
All right. Thanks, Obakeng. Before I ask the last one, thank you for allowing us into your space, because I know, like, when you don't know Abantu, like, it's a bit hard to let in, but we appreciate you opening yourself up. So, open quote in a GQ interview, ne? You said, "My approach to photography is grounded in spirituality. Every angle I make is rooted in a deeper artistic feeling, and this is what gives me the edge." Can you maybe unpack that a bit, like what you meant by that?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Okay, cool. So in an interview, ne, you said, "My approach to photography is grounded in spirituality. Every angle I make is rooted in a deeper artistic feeling, and this is what gives me the edge." What is that edge?
The edge of self, man. Like, there's no one who, if you, when I say that I'm rooted, especially spiritually, I let my intuition guide me to everything. I'm quite a sensitive man, so I'm always ready to sort of, you know, I'm always open to, you know, connecting myself to something greater, right? But also, when it comes to the edge, it's the self. I'm able to, if I am my fullest self, no one can ever like compare themselves to me, or I can never compare myself to other people. And how spirituality contributes to that is that whether it's my God or my ancestors, it allows me once again to remain grounded in who I am. It's like, yo, listen to myself, listen, a little bit of prayer, meditation, brings me back. And then from now on, whatever I do it for myself. I don't do it for other people. I don't do it. So I hope that answers your question. Like, yes, just that spirituality allows me to, I guess, ground myself enough, to be myself enough, to be myself in the world, and no one can compare to me. That's the point.
Cool, man. Thanks, bro. We can see the edge. We can feel the edge.
Damn, man.
Take your flowers, run with them, like every
Thank you,
morning. Like, you're doing great work,
thank
man.
you.
Ngozi
Thank you
kakhulu.
so much, guys. Thank you
Sure.
for having me here.
Sharp.
This is
Cool.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Damn.